make sure it's kosher. Lean on me like Bill Withers until you smell the roses.
What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Subscribe or die trying. You see the thumbnail, man. Banks, Petrodollar, and crypto. So this has been going on for a while. Like behind the scenes, me and Solo TV84 shout out. What's happening? Um, we have been talking about crypto for years. And a while ago, a long time ago, I told him, I said, I, you know, people have to switch over to crypto in some capacity because the banks messed up the money. These bankers who are supposed to be so smart and so ahead of the curve, they were gambling with the country's money, right? And they got bailed out. And now you get bailed out and you're still on the precipice of it's shaky years later. And now they're talking about using, the petrodollar, meaning the dollar that's the U.S. dollar is tied to oil. So it's what all oil is transferred through, right? So they're thinking about taking the dollar off of that, which will affect the dollar for sure. But then, you know, it's like, okay, what about the dollar not being the world's currency? It's not right. It's not there yet. But if one domino falls, excuse me, don't think they'll try to knock another one down. So here's my take on this. Solo believes that if the banks crash or the stocks crash, crypto is going to crash with it. I believe that if the banks crash and the stocks crash, crypto is going to go up. That's my belief. And the reason I would say that is because people need to move their money somewhere. And, you know, and if people made bank runs and banks would have collapsed, rich people know that their money isn't insured. It's FDIC approved, which means, if you single, $250,000 is insured by the government. If you're married, $500,000 is insured by the government for your account. So, uber rich people, I'm sure they try to go to banks abroad and offshore or whatever. But I think, all of those banks aren't like that either. So there's only particular ones you can go to. If they're still in business, I'll say that. Because I tried to look it up and I couldn't find anything at the point. But I ain't rich enough for that. So I look at it like, do people trust bankers more than, or do they trust the algorithm? The algorithm, you see, you can get your money stolen from a bank and go through months and months and months. And sometimes you get it back, sometimes you don't. You get your money stolen online through the algorithm, and they can track it and get you your money back. That's the difference. So with the petrodollar, when I think President Obama bailed out, I think he bailed out the banks and he bailed out the car manufacturers, the car industry. And since then, the banks have made the same mistakes, and the car industry has gone up and up and up in their prices to the point that basically used cars cost darn near as much as new cars. So people aren't necessarily buying more cars, and younger generation is coming up, getting hitching rides with Uber and whatnot. And depending on the city, people are not necessarily in need of a car or where you're at in the city. So this is where we're headed. And on top of that, inflation, the dollar, and gas kind of go hand in hand because guess what? It's spring right now. By summertime, the gas price is going to go up. And then the cost of of food is going to go up again, and then the cost of everything else is going to go up again, and people are going to kind of lose it. So now we have that issue. Now, as far as like banks and put your money in the bank, blah blah blah, it's safe. It's not that safe now, right? If you're under the FDIC approved thing, you should be safe. But people bigger than that, they're gonna try to look to invest. And crypto is one of those things where you can buy low and sell extremely high, or you can buy something low at a very high volume and sell and make a heck of a profit off of that value when it makes a run. Now these other countries are kind of switching in some ways to crypto anyways. Depending on the country you're looking at or talking to, they're already into digital money. Let's just say that America's into digital money. That's why you really don't need cash nowadays. You got a chip on your car. You got Apple Watch or whatever. Everything. You got your phone. Everything is digital. So that's another issue as far as the crypto thing. So with all of those things put together, you got to ask a question at a particular point. How long does the dollar have left to be the dollar? Because I know people talking about make America great again. A lot of what this country did was it's either built its wealth off of free labor, theft, or even when people think about manufacturing, it was like World War One, World War Two, Vietnam era. Pretty much all the countries was bombed. All of Europe was bombed to Haiti. So let's just do that. Japan was bombed out and trying to rebuild. China was under British rule. So a lot of our quote unquote American greatness comes from the fact that we basically destroyed the world, helped destroy the world around us, and we were the ones left standing till the victor goes the spoils as far as the country goes. That didn't mean we had the better quote unquote ingenuity, this, that, and the third. So now with getting so far ahead financially of the rest of the world and the global economy, pretty much the country gave it all back by you letting corporations go overseas and do business there for quote unquote cheaper labor, and now the country quote unquote suffers at the end of it because the regular John and Joan Q public can't necessarily afford the American life anymore. The rich keep getting richer, the middle class keep losing ground, and the poor keep getting poorer. There we go. So what are their options to take a shot at? Exponential growth is either, you can't do that in the stock anymore, so people are going to go with crypto. That's just my thought on that. Plus, like I said before, the gas prices, people want to try electric, but here's the problem: the electric cost too much, and the gas cost too much. So you're gonna have this little infighting where what's gonna work? Nobody trusts quote unquote. I can't say nobody, but few people trust the banks because the banks have been notoriously messing up. But the banks are incentivized to be stupid. So that's a whole nother thing within itself. So at the end of the day, banks are failing. The petrodollar maybe no more, and the only one of the few other options people have to try to get rich and get ahead of the curve is crypto. So tell me what you think. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.